And Brazilians will say, no, clave, that's Cuban, we don't have that. Usually that's the general notion. You know, it's flexible, it goes with the melody, and that can be true to some degree, but basically the roots are the same from African roots, Afro-Brazilian, Afro-Cuban roots. Particularly you can trace through religious music in both countries, where there are very similar songs that had previously been the same song and have just evolved to be a little bit different, and maybe with different accompaniment. And the more Afro that there is in it, Afro-Brazilian, Afro-Cuban, the religious music, meaning traditional religious music, candomblé or regla de ocha in Cuba, otherwise known as Santeria, those musics that are associated with specific orishas, specific deities, etc., which is drums, rattles, bells, and singing and dancing, and everything else that goes with those cultural practices. It's very African in its roots, and it absolutely has the same sensibility within it. Samba bateria, which is in the springtime, they have Carnival, and in Rio, many people know a little or are aware. It's one of the biggest spectacles on the planet, and there's 500 drummers and 4,000, 6,000 members in one parade group between dancers and performers. And that music is very explicitly within the same conception, even if no one's playing that rhythm and they don't call it that. But it's equally deadly if you're crossed and you're in the wrong place. Yeah. And then there are musics like when Bossa Nova came along, and it was much more influenced by jazz, and guitarist João Gilberto kind of made things a lot more flexible. So he was taking like a typical samba from a percussion perspective, which basically becomes the roots for the other instruments. I'll play it the way it's more familiar, I guess, for the moment. It's I want. So João Gilberto sort of took samba guitar, check, check, change, check, check, change, check, 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 and he took cells of it or half of it and went check, check, change, check, check, change, check, check, change, check, check, change. So now it's not, in clave anymore, in Cuban terms, not Brazilian terms. It becomes more flexible. If you know this sort of drum set 101 bossa nova rhythm, 2, 3, 4. Well, bossa is inherently more flexible, so borrow more of the language from samba, but there I crossed, if we were thinking in clave, which we're not in bossa, then I've just crossed it, but I did it intentionally very kind of slick, where it wasn't the rhythm and then jar you with flip it, I kind of repeat pieces of it, and things like that. But samba is much more strict, and what's really, really interesting about the contemporary music, having gone through the latter part of the 20th century in the States and Brazil, where we had fusion, and bossa happened, and in the 1960s in Brazil there were trios, so it was piano trio instead of guitar, and jazz came in, things were more flexible. But now in Rio, in Sao Paulo, and in general in samba jazz, as much as it's very cosmopolitan and contemporary and pushing borders, they've really rooted it in the Afro-Brazilian rhythm, so that it's always really cycling, the same way that the montunos, you can stay syncopated, but when you resolve, it's going to be in the same place.